Welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways, Coyote in the Highlands. As you can see behind me, there's stuff going on. Changed my filming location just a little bit for shade this morning. It's interesting to watch as this year goes by, this cycle of where the sunrise is. It's going to help a lot when I map other buildings. Let's talk about agency. Agency. So, agency is this idea of free will, feeling like you're in control. Agency, right? When the universe is flowing along and everything's working right and it seems almost effortless, that's when you tend to feel the greatest sense of agency. Although it's not as tied to the ego as your sense of agency when you're fighting everything, the universe and such. And this gets into right action again. Okay, so we're going to talk about right action just a little bit here, because I've talked about that before, but in the sense of agency, it's not an external control or influence going on. It's just that you are in harmony. Your will is being expressed in a fashion that is in harmony. It's not that what you want has to change to be in harmony with the rest of the universe or your purposes. This is the really key thing. It's not the universe, it's your purposes. Your life script, your internal goals, your subconscious goals, whatever it is you want to describe this as, because everyone has a different mental map, you know. Your soul's desire is how I would describe it, or your life script. We all have multiple lifetimes, according to me, and you come to a life with different sets of intentions, kind of a pre-wired sense of personality, goals, whatever, structures. And you can think of this in purely deterministic terms with no soul and no multiple lives, as some people are born with certain propensities, certain epigenetic factors, because for people who don't believe in souls, everything is genetic. Your whole personality is genes or something. How bizarre is that? Like, really, how bizarre is that? Anyway, you can think of it as certain epigenetic, certain expressions of genetic factors are normal and just by nature expressed differently depending on your time in the womb, early influences, nutrition, global temperature, whatever it is. You don't believe in a soul, have it that way. It's perfectly fine. Either way works. I tend to think in terms of a life script or a soul's desire, deepest desire. So those things actually are part of the universe, what we talk about when being in harmony with the universe, because those are deeper parts of yourself that you don't generally have access to, and they look like externalities. They look like external influences in your conscious day-to-day life. Even if you're on the other side of the fence, you're enlightened and you have a fully expanded awareness or partially expanded awareness or whatever, there's always stuff deeper. That's one of the things when you do awareness exercises, that you can never reach the bottom, because there's always an expansion. There's always more to look at. There's always more to discover. There's always a whoa. It never gets old. So agency, you have a greater sense of agency quite often when you are acting in concert, in harmony with your deepest desires, your true purposes, your life script, and how the external world is working with that, okay? There's always going to be stressors and little conflicts and competitions and games. It's never... The whole thing is that you can think of it as hormetic stress. There's always stress. There's always something impacting something, influencing something. It's not necessarily opposed or conflict, but there's always stress. There's always action. It's always dynamic, okay? Think of it that way, dynamic instead of stressful, and maybe that'll help you reframe things if you're having trouble with the words. So in a dynamic field where everything is moving, everything has energy, everything is always in motion, nothing stays the same, nothing is static. You're not static. Your awareness is up and down and all over the place. So are your energy levels, so is your self-recognition, so your sense of agency, that really powerful sense where you're like, whoa, I'm doing it. I am doing it. It really feels good. It really feels like you're not being a pawn of outside factors. Well, that sense of agency grows when you're acting in harmony. Again, harmony is not a submission or slavery word, okay? Harmony means that you're acting in conjunction, in a way where your agency feeds a certain dynamic spiral or cycle. It's peaking the dynamic factors in your favor. When you act with agency, you feel that biggest sense of agency. You're acting in harmony with your desires, your goals and purposes, and the dynamic aspects of the universe, which is the whole universe. And everything just sort of comes together and it feels really good. It does feel effortless. And this is kind of a paradox because effortless for a lot of people, especially Western minds, if it's not hard, you're not trying. If it's not difficult, it's not real. If you don't have to fight and conquer something, then you're not expressing free will. So that's wrong. That's just completely wrong. But it's a social program. It's a societal program. It's kind of a really deep thing in the West in a lot of ways. Your value is your struggle, not your harmony. When you have the greatest sense of agency, you are acting in harmony with yourself, your internal desires, your deepest soul desires, and the universe outside. So I'm going to keep reiterating this, and I know it sounds like it's getting old, but just think it through. It's got to hit you at some point where, if you don't already understand, if you do, celebrate this. If what I'm saying is like, oh yeah, just celebrate it. Be like, yeah, let's ramp up the excitement, right? So your sense of agency, your sense of rightness, your sense of action, your sense of self-direction grows as you act in harmony with your own purposes and the universe. And that's kind of a dualistic thing. It's actually a monistic thing because your soul deepest desire is part of the universe, so you're acting in concert with the universe. The whole. I'm just expressing it in a duality because most people see the universe as outside them, not part of them, or they see themselves as separate from the universe, not part of the universe. Two sides, same coin, right? Your life script. I'm watching a butterfly. I should look at the camera. It's probably a good idea if I look at the camera more. Your life script, your soul's desire, expressed in harmony with the dynamics, okay? The action, the active principles of the universe, life around you, results in a greater feeling of satisfaction, self-agency, and right action. And back to right action for a moment. I always have trouble describing what right action is. How does it feel? Because it feels right. And that's like, how do you describe that to someone who doesn't know what that is? It feels right. You feel like you have a great, successful sense of self-agency when you're performing right action. How about that? There's a little clue for anyone who those words work for. It's all about the right words said to the right people at the right time in the right way. That's what sparks you and gets you out of monkey mind and into enlightenment, or the other side of the fence, or basic well-being, or okayness. So, as I record this, there's a whole bunch of drama in the world. The latest thing has switched. The problem here right now is that the latest thing has switched every couple of days for a while, so everyone's feeling really stressed because there's so many manufactured crises. This last week and a half, it's making people a little crazy and get it. That has results. People act crazy when that stuff happens, or when that stuff is presented and reported, when the propaganda machine pushes that on you and tries to make that your reality. So that's going on, and it's important when this stuff is going on to pull back, look, get internal to your life, and find your right action. Find your self-agency. Find the dynamic principles. Okay? Nothing is static. And it's a kind of a hedonic, old, chaotic thing, chaos magic, whatever, but Discordian thing. But people say nothing is true, everything is permissible. It actually comes from a Turkish guy, but whatever. It's not Aleister Crowley. Nothing is true, everything is permissible. One of the ways to look at that phrase in terms of propaganda is to remember that nothing they say is really true, and everything they say is permissible to them to advance their goals. So there's a little juicy bit from the esoteric occult side or whatever. Self-agency, that feeling of agency, cultivate that. Cultivate that, bring it into your life. And it's increased when you're acting in harmony with yourself and the universe. In harmony with yourself is something that is occasionally really hard to do. If you're losing that, if you're having a problem with sensing that, then slow down. Meditate a little. Take a break. Give yourself permission to relax. Expand your awareness and let go of some of the problems. Simplifying your life might help with that. We'll talk about that later. Stay sideways.